Hey guys, Darren Collier, Coach of Wise Pods, and welcome back to another episode of Team Review post round 14. Hopefully, you've all had a great round of fantasy football. Uh, it was a weird and wacky round, as it seems to always be this year, where there was some massive scores, but there were also some very low scores from particularly some premiums that didn't get the job done this weekend. So very disappointing there. But there was also some massive scores from rookies, so that carried the load. So overall, was a very nice round in the end. So, how did I go? I scored the 2056, which was ranked about 8,000th for the round. Moved up about 300 spots. So, moving in the right direction, but definitely was probably 50 points off of a very decent round. There was quite a few people that scored in the 2100s and even into the 2200s, which is for best 18 is massive. So, yeah, yeah, no, I'm very quite happy with how the round went. I thought, first couple games in Thursday night, quite a few bad scores that I had in my side. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm on for a bit of a stinker here. All the work that I had done for the first couple of weeks moving forward was probably going to be unraveled as kind of expect is going to happen at some stage. But no, ultimately came home strong and got that decent score and held rank, which was nice, and obviously it moved in the right direction, which was a bit of a positive to walk out of there. So overall, very happy with how the team is performing. I guess we'll just get straight into plus threes and negative threes just off the bat. So my plus three could go to a host of players here. Like there's a lot of big scores. I've got um, 4 120. So yeah, 4 130 plus scores in my team, but then also got another one in the 120s as well. So, but I think I'm gonna not give it to any of them just because they've probably copped plenty of love over the season so far. I'll give it to one of the rookies, and I think I'll give it to Tom McCarthy. Obviously, traded him in off of not seeing anything from him, only the 2 games from the Waffle. Mature age recruit there, number one in the mid-season draft. So was very confident to pick him up straight off the bat there, and to put up 101 on debut, having 31 disposals, I think, which is some sort of record for the West Coast Eagles, is just phenomenal. Didn't expect that from him at all. I was hopefully expecting a 60, but I'll definitely take 101 for sure. And he'll be a prime target, if not this week, then definitely next week for a lot of players. So yeah, it's always nice to be able to nail that rookie downgrade option, and that is always a bit of a luck of the draw sort of thing. So yeah, definitely ahead of the pack there with picking him up. So he gets my plus three. Negative three, again, with a lot of premiums going, pretty poor. There's definitely a few this could go to, but I'll just give it to Marcus Bontempelli. To think that Marcus Bontempelli didn't count in my best 18 is just wild to think. I just didn't even think that was a possibility. So, yeah, that was hugely disappointing with that 50 points. Obviously, got hugely tagged against Windhager there, yeah, on Thursday night. That was a pretty big bummer to start the season, start the week. Sorry. So yeah, I thought I was off to a pretty slow start, but luckily a lot of people had him anyway. If you didn't, he was quite a big unique, and you probably had a better week than most. But hoping he has a big bounce back game against Richmond this weekend with a nice matchup. Unlikely to be tagged. I don't see any tag potentially coming his way. Maybe a McAuliffe. But again, I just don't expect how you're going to stop on when you're not a seasoned tagger like a Windhager. So even Windhager, I didn't expect him to go that well, that's for sure. So yeah, fingers crossed he definitely improves from that and can have a big back end of the season to get back to where he was performing before the bye. So that is my plus three and negative three. Just quickly reviewing my captains. So I ended up just going with Baz with the VC, as I said, 136. I'm taking that every day of the week. I did say I was going to have a line of 130. So I took that at the end of the day. Could have been a lot bigger. Unfortunately, he did get rested for like a good 10 minutes in that last quarter. Only had the 76% time on ground. Obviously had the 41 touches, so that could have been 45, if not even closer to 50 with 10 minutes on the ground more. So yeah, it is what it is. You're going to expect that sometimes with these big players, especially with the injury cloud he was under. There was no doubt that he was going to get rested at some point, so I'm happy with where he got to and was obviously a huge captain option. I think a lot of the competition did it. And he is now the most expensive player in the comp, obviously mass averaging 123 over the entire season, which is just incredible. And looking at that last 5 averages, insane. 136, over the last 5, and coincidentally over the last 3 as well. Has not dropped below like 119 in the last 7 games, which is just ridiculous. So yeah, he's a very viable captain option each and every week. We'll see how he sort of lines up this week against Brisbane Lions, who are a bit more of a tougher matchup. But yeah, we'll see. Well, I would highly expect he's always going to be in your top 5, averaging what he's averaging at this point in time. So that is my captain's done. I would have gone into Max Gawn if he didn't put up a sort of 130 plus score. At the end of the day, Max Gawn put up a very solid 126 at the end of the day. Up against the likes of Jordan Sweet and Vizentini. I didn't expect... Sorry, when I was doing the captains, I didn't really think it was going to be that big of a deal. It ended up not being that big of a deal anyway. Coming up against two rucks, he still got the job done as sort of expected, realistically. I just didn't really expect him to go both of them. I just thought it'd be one or the other, and I was comfortable with that. But going up against two of them maybe would have changed my decision a little bit. But ultimately, yeah, 126 definitely was a viable option. So quickly reviewing my trades from last week. Overall, pretty happy. Trading out the 2 Sydney Swans boys. Bryce had to go. Lindsay, I'm glad I traded out after he was the sub. That was definitely unexpected, to say the least. Dropped to 38k. You probably could have argued that I probably should have traded Levi Ashcroft as well, who probably could have got my -3 as well, to be just quietly. But also traded out Chad Warner, which worked out in the end because it meant I was able to get a bigger upgrade in the sense that I got Andy Brayshaw, who obviously went massive with a 136, my equal highest scorer of the round. Very nice to have him, and probably, with where a lot of midfielders were performing pretty badly. It was nice to have a pretty stable one there with Andy Brayshaw, who's probably the number 2 mid at this point in time. So yeah, very glad I grabbed on him because I was having some doubts that whether I do or not. But yeah, it's just definitely worthwhile. Fingers crossed he doesn't start copying attention with how he's going, but obviously with Sarong going even better than he did on the weekend, hopefully that just deters people a little bit away from Andy Brayshaw here. So I'm happy with that sort of trade. Tom McCarthy, as I spoke about, was a massive trade in, so yeah, very glad I grabbed him. So those two were definitely a tick. Sam Doherty, I'll give him a pass mark with that 71, but definitely was a little underwhelming than what I was sort of hoping, especially against West Coast. It should have been a bit of a layup, but didn't quite get there. Got burnt a few times by his teammates, which is not something I particularly wanted to see. They should trust him with ball in hand, and they just didn't seem to do that in this game. Probably got burnt 3 or 4 times out on the wing there, here and there. So even took some kick-ins, which was a positive to see his role slightly improve. We haven't seen him take kick-ins for the best part of 2 years. So, and that was obviously his heydays when he was averaging 110 or something like that. So yeah, definitely nice to see him improve in that sense, but the score didn't really tick along with him on this occasion. Fingers crossed this doesn't show signs that he's not going to be stable on the side. Hopefully he's good to go and this role is still consistent, because yeah, it'd hurt to have to trade him out. I think if you got him, you're holding him for the next period of time, particularly the next 2 weeks while there's some decent matchups coming. So yeah, we'll see how this all plays out. Fingers crossed he holds his spot, especially up against North this weekend. Should go fairly well, you'd hope anyway. So there is my trades. Overall, very happy. I guess the only improvements I could have made is obviously trading out Lever Ashcroft instead. That did lose me about 50k, which is a little disappointing after he dropped at 39. Yeah, definitely not what I wanted. After I was saying he's a very safe 60 option, as he has been for the best part of half of the season. Hasn't dropped this low of a score all season. Like, yeah, just not something I wanted to see the week before I traded him out. That was definitely unappreciated, and yeah, it wasn't even a sub. It wasn't even subbed out, which is the even more surprising thing. I know it was a tough matchup, but the 39 is not okay. So yeah, that's the only thing I could see improving. But then it also meant I couldn't get a Brayshaw, or I wouldn't have gone a Doherty. I would have probably gone. I think I could have gone, instead of going Chad Warner, I probably could have gone an Andy Brayshaw or maybe a McKercher. It's 200k cheaper. That probably could have worked out. That's probably the ideal trades of the week in my sense. So yeah, oh well. Happy with the trades nonetheless. quickly reviewing my player by player. I won't go too deep in it because I don't want this to be too long. But Connor Rosie just gets it done. Was in my top, I think it was number 6 captain overall. Got the 117. If you weren't there, you're definitely happy. He didn't cop any attention, which was a little bit surprising. I thought he may have with Ed Langdon, but ultimately didn't really go to anyone realistically. I think he floated between a couple people. Uh, Zach Butters didn't really get too much attention, but didn't end up putting up a decent score anyway. But yeah, Connor Rosie, he's just getting it done. If you don't have him, you need to get him at some stage. The Wang and Sinclair on the Thursday night just went absolutely ballistic, and which was probably a little bit unexpected because the Bulldogs are particularly a pretty tough matchup. So I definitely didn't expect those two to go as big as they did. But this guy is just getting it done at the moment. Messiah Wangni Malera, he's just absolutely killing it. He's averaging 126 over his last 3, which is just amazing. 108 for the year. He's just a star in the making. It'll be interesting to see where he lands at the end of the season, going into next season, to see if he'll be a fantasy relevant for us next year. But yeah, so far this season, he's just absolutely amazing. Harry Sheasel just continues on that hate train at the moment with saying a big F you to whoever traded him out. He's just a fantasy gun at this point in time. So, yeah, yeah, I made the mistake last year of trading him out when it looked like it was all doom and gloom with his role changed out. I didn't want to make that same mistake this year, so I'm glad I held him, and he's averaging 125 in his last 2 now. So, yeah, fingers crossed he can continue this form. He does have some tougher matchups coming, so if you don't have him, I probably still wouldn't be trading into him, even though the role has slightly improved with him going into the midfield just slightly a little bit more. Let's have a look. Wasn't massive on the weekend, but last week was definitely the improvement with the nearly 50%, but only 17% on the weekend. Just got it done. So, yeah, he loves to give that +6 every now and then. So, yeah, happy with him. I spoke about Sinclair. He's just there. He's not doing anything amazing, but, over the last 4, he's definitely getting the job done. Started massively on that Thursday night and just really slowed as the game progressed. So, not sure if there was any sort of attention in that one. I did watch it, but not super closely. So yeah, he's just there. Definitely part of the top sort of 6 to 8. So definitely getting it done. Holmes just continues his very hot form at the moment with obviously some very soft matchups. He is absolutely killing it and absolutely jumping in price now. $1.505 million, which is just unreal considering he was nearly, I think he was priced about 900k. Only 4 weeks ago, back when he was against Port Adelaide, something like that. He's just absolutely flown up in cash. Was a very nice captain option as well. If you went there over the likes of Smith, so yeah, you're definitely really happy with that. I spoke about McCarthy. Clark, 40. He's killing his cash generation now with, 2 scores of 40 and a 58 on the weekend. His break even of 31. Probably a prime trade out target next week. You can definitely hold him this week, I would say. But if you're struggling for trade out options and you got limited cash generation, he could definitely probably go at that slightly elevated price tag. O'Sullivan, if he's still floating around your team like he is for me, he's just quietly starting to generate some cash with some decent scores off that back of that 81, putting up some decent 50s, so up to nearly 500k now. Just keep ticking along, son. You'll be a prime trade out target in a few weeks' time when we get out of these buys at some stage. Into the midfield, the very stinky midfield. John Dawson just a 79, the 97 against the Hawks there. A bit of tough matchup, tough night in the cold. Started well, but just really slowed in the second half, particularly when the Crows started to get a bit overwhelmed with the Hawks' pressure. So, yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. They also threw him forward, particularly in that last quarter. Don't know why they do that. You're losing your best ball winner in the middle. So, yeah, definitely probably cost them the game in the end. So, yeah, disappointing, but, it's Jordan Dawson. He's just killing it all season. He'll bounce back pretty quickly. He's on the bye this week, so if you don't have him, definitely a huge target post his bye. He's not cheap, but, yeah, you do want to play up for these sort of players. I spoke about Bont. I spoke about Brayshaw. Dunkley, I don't even want to talk about this dude. He's just killing me at the moment. And it's taking every ounce of my being not to just trade him out at this stage because he is putrid at the moment, and he's been putrid since I traded him in. So, yeah, very disappointing. Good matchup this weekend. Will he get it done? very unlikely. He's probably got the matchup against Bailey Smith to try and do a bit of a shutdown role. Did actually drop in CBAs this week, which is slightly more concerning. 60% isn't massive, but considering he's been, high 70s, even in the 80s all season, 60s is not what I want to see. He did drop once earlier this year. But yeah, we'll see. We'll sort of see how it plans out. I wouldn't stop anyone from wanting to trade him out, particularly if you're heavy with round 16. There's even a world where I may even trade him next week, coming into round 16. But I'm not super heavy. I have 4 premiums in there at the moment, so it's not be and end all. But I'm also thinking he has no cash on his head now. He's going to be 900k, sub 900k next week if he doesn't put up a very decent score. He's going to turn around at some point because we know the fantasy player he is. He's obviously one of the best. But yeah, just not getting the job done at the moment. So he's very, very, very frustrating for what I paid for him, nearly 200k more than what he's priced at now. I spoke about Sam Doherty, but yeah, I'm fingers crossed he will turn it around. But considering a lot of people made him like a must-have last week, definitely was not the performance we wanted. Levi Ashcroft, very disappointing. As I said, is definitely the number 1 trade-out target if you still have him in your side. Yeah, probably should have been gone last week, if not the week even prior to that. Nick Dacos was my captain. Just held down the fort there. Could be another captain option this week, but probably has a bit of a tag coming his way with Windhager, so probably not. Johnson could have been a very viable +3 candidate this week with a 104. Shout out to him. Yeah, been a great pick since picking him up 2 weeks ago with a 79 and a 104. Getting the job done back there. He was even the number 1 kick and taker at Essendon, which was a great surprise. I did not expect him to be doing that. Needs to learn to play on that 1 extra. 5 or 4 just isn't good enough. We need more, son. So get out there, kick it. So yeah, no, very, very happy with how he's traveling, and yeah, they look like they're pretty happy with him as in terms of his responsibility back there. So he's been a great pickup, and if you don't have him, even though he's got the bye next week, I think he's sort of a must-have with his negative 33 break even. He's just going to absolutely fly up in price. Went up 95k this week. It's obviously very rare to have such cash generation this late into the season. So yeah, definitely worth jumping on, even if you're struggling for numbers. Just hopefully you have best 18. You have 18 players next week. So jump on him. He is a Goldilocks at this point in time. Boxall, Moraes, and even the likes of Ted Closey all being dropped was definitely not sort of what I expected. I was hoping to at least have one of them. Only playing the 21 this week was not the most welcoming feeling, but yeah, overall didn't really make too much of a difference. Dropped off the 24, the 39, and I think it was Bont's 50. So my lowest score was a 71 from Josh Dunkley. No, sorry, not from Josh Dunkley, from Sam Doherty. So yeah, overall, when your lowest score is a 71, you're happy with that at the end of the day. But would have been nice to have at least one of those guys play and put up a decent score if they could have. But yeah, it is what it is. Probably wouldn't have counted anyway. The 2 rucks, Cherry was a bit underwhelming in what was a nicer matchup against Freo. Obviously had the Twin Towers there in Sean Darcy and Luke Jackson. Just didn't get the job done. Hitouts was nice. Tackles were there, just not enough disposals and not enough marks around the ground, which we know is a big problem for him. He doesn't really get those marks around the ground at all. So yeah, overall 93 just wasn't what I wanted, especially when the likes of Royal Marshall went 129 and Tim English went 120 as well. Did cost me probably a few points in that matchup particularly. Moving into the forward line, the 3 big boys did particularly well. Nick Martin was off to an absolute fly. I think he had like 50 points at the quarter time, so he was looking like a very good captain option, but just got slowed particularly in the second and third quarter. Just scraped to 102, so getting the job done. Hasn't gone below 100 in the last 6 games, so just quietly getting it done. Lowest time on ground though, 80. Not what I want to see. Get back up to your hundreds. Come on. We want to see the prime Nick Martin as we all love and enjoy. Matt Kennedy was a bit of a scare on Thursday night. Looked like it was going to be a pretty much a disaster with him on 30 points at halftime. So it looked like it was back to the old Kennedy. And just wasn't going to do anything. But he scrounged his way back to 107, which was very nice. Kicked 2 goals, as we are become a bit of accustomed to. He's just such an accurate goal kicker at the moment. He's only had 3 behinds in what is it? 2, 3, 6, 7, 10, 15 goals. 15 goals, 3 in his. You can even go back even further. I think he's 17 goals for this season, which is just unreal. His accuracy is just so good. He's not taking easy shots as well. He's taken, goals from 45 meters out on an angle. So, yeah, he's just getting done. Definitely part of the best 3 forwards, if not even top 2 at the moment. If he's not someone that you don't have Richmond this week, I think you're going to want him. I don't think the role changed. I know, obviously, there's some talks that things were moving a little bit. Dropped down to 44, but it's not the end of the world. I think he's still there or thereabouts. Tom Liberatore obviously was still the one that took a bit of a haircut from a couple of weeks ago, playing a little bit more of a halfback. He actually did quite well. If you're looking at him, Bontempelli is... Oh, sorry. That's Adam Treloar. Adam Treloar still hasn't really made his mark in that midfield massively. Whether he does ever or not, we'll wait and see. But Joel Frazier was the interesting one. He like 40%. I did not have that on my bingo card after all these guys came back into the midfield. I just didn't think he would be around there. But maybe it was a matchup thing. Maybe they're looking for some bit more run. But maybe it was just because Bontempelli was getting tagged. Who knows? So wait and see how that sort of affects him. But at the end of the day, I'm very happy with Matt Kennedy. Isaac Rankin is definitely a huge talking point this week. Obviously, he's on the buy, so a lot of people are potentially looking at trading him out with what has been a very underwhelming 6 weeks. Hasn't hit a 90 in that time. 380s, 260s, and 170. So not in the top 6 calculations. Probably not even in the top 10 calculations at this point in time. So I have no issue trading him out. He's probably even part of my plans at this stage. But the matchups post buy is what worries me. Obviously, Richmond going to get a bit of a nice hit there. Melbourne's also not too bad. The Suns are the number 1 matchup in midfield particularly, but in that sense, he is not a midfielder at this stage. He's playing a lot more half forward, and he's not kicking goals, which is disappointing. So, yeah, I have no issue with trading him at this stage. So yeah, I'll talk a bit more about that in trade mode on Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. Cab Daniel, bit subpar from what I sort of expected when the likes of McCurch went a little bit better than him. Just not as many marks this week, not as many touches either. So I guess that could be a sign of some things to come, just with a bit of a change of hands there, with McCurch probably becoming the main distributor back there. So his time may sort of run out soon. He's still making some money at this stage, so I'm still happy to hold him through. He'll be a luxury trade post the buys, I reckon. So yeah, happy with him there. Kyle Lohmann as a sub. I'm sort of glad it was Kyle Lohmann at the end of the day rather than a Levi Ashcroft. But in the same sentence, if Levi Ashcroft was named as the sub, I probably would have traded him then and there because it was so early in the round. I could have done it. So at the end of the day, it's probably cost me more money than what it could have if I just traded Levi Ashcroft if he was named sub. So, yeah, bit of a unfortunate one there. Killed his cash generation, but also meant Levi Ashcroft just didn't do well either. So, terrible in both worlds. That's why I meant I had such a slow start. I had Bontempelli, Levi Ashcroft, and Kyle Lohmann in my bottom 3 on the first game on Saturday. So 3 games in. So I thought I was off to an absolute stinker, but got there in the end. But that is how my round went. So yeah, moving in the right direction, as I said, not too bad in terms of round ranking. Hopefully going to continue. So let's look at how I'm shaping up this week and look at my trades. I guess some of the problem areas that I needed to address quickly. I've got a lot of players that need to go, but Levi Ashcroft was obviously the number 1 that needs to go, so he is a maximum trade out. I've instantly sideways to trade him to Kobe McKercher. And Kobe McKercher, I'll quickly touch on him there, even though it's not trade mode. I think he's a very viable option this week. Even though he didn't massively impress me on the weekend with an 85 with 27 touches, only 2 marks, 1 tackle. That's just what we expect of him. But when he's priced at like 65 and he's going probably at 85, if not 90, for the remainder of the season, or if as long as this role sort of remains, it's still a very, very good option. It's pretty safe as houses. So I'm very happy just to jump on him. So I've done that. But then I've got a host of other issues I could address, obviously Isaac Rankin, who's currently in my trade out plans. I've got Moraes, Cleary, Loman that could go, that could improve my buy structure for round 16. Obviously, Max is obviously a huge talking point this week, whether he's potentially a trade out option with his tougher run. Dunkley, obviously, we all know. And obviously, just a few other bits and bobs here, but nothing too major. So, this is how my trades are sort of structuring up at the moment. This is sort of what I had planned for even before this round has happened. I was looking at Luke Jackson. I particularly like his run for the next 4 weeks, particularly for a ruckman. I'm not entirely confident with this pick just yet. Looking at the stats from the weekend, because I didn't actually watch this game, I was out and about late Saturday. But Sean Darcy still only played about 50 to 60% time on ground, which is a little bit not what I wanted. I sort of hoped he'd play a full game. But this is just what Sean Darcy probably could do for the remaining part of the season until they get into the finals, just to sort of manage him through. So maybe he's not going to play a solid 70 or 80% at all. They're just going to manage him through. So that could mean Luke Jackson could go very well. Look at what he's been doing for the past, 5 or 6 games, averaging well over 90. So obviously some of those scores are without Sean Darcy. But yeah, I think he can definitely be a viable option. Definitely part of the top 6 calculations for forwards at this stage, and with a very good run of fixture particularly for ruckman. With Essendon, St Kilda, Sydney, and Hawthorn for the next 4. Even that, he's got West Coast and Port. Got a couple tougher games in there for ruckman, but yeah, you got to take and give somewhere. But even for midfielders, because he does play as a midfielder every now and then, obviously Freo have a very decent run as well, with same fixture with Essendon, St Kilda, Sydney. Never going to be a tag option with the likes of Sarong and Brayshaw in there. Yeah, so I definitely think he's definitely a viable option. And if Freo are going to be one that are entering finals, then Luke Jackson's definitely going to be a big part of how they attack it. Because currently they're just sneaking into the 8, but if they want to solidify themselves in their 8, they need to improve and start to make the best of their chances. So I think he'll be a big part of that. So he is definitely a viable option this week. If you jumped on earlier, definitely congrats to you. He's done extremely well and made some coin. He's starting to get very pricey at the moment, so yeah, paying top dollar probably, but I'm happy to do that. Also means I'm able to cover Max Gawn this week, so flicking him into the ruck line, Max Gawn into the utility spot. I'll just say Rivers is definitely just a placeholder for now. I haven't sort of figured out who the best rookie downgrade option there is. Obviously, you're already going Johnson and McCarthy. It's not super clear who that next best one is. Maybe a Liddy is who I'm looking at, but that means I can't do the trades that I want, and it means I will be only fielding 21 anyway. So is it really worth getting a Luke Jackson? So this is definitely just one option I'm looking at. I could go a world where I'm just doing 3 sort of rookie downgrades and getting just one big primo rather than getting a McKercher, but I think I'm pretty set on getting a McKercher this week at his cheaper price. This also means that I have 18 very viable players playing this week, plus also Johnson as that backup 19th, and obviously, Finn Sullivan, Clark looping between those two with McCarthy there, and then also having Loman probably going to be the sub again, who knows, and obviously whatever rookie I bring in, fingers crossed they can fit into my forward line, because we're all sort of crying out for a bit of a forward rookie at this stage, because yeah, looking to cash out a few of those guys. So it sort of forces my hand to trade out a Moraes. I would probably prefer to go a Loman just to improve my round 16 buy at this stage. But yeah, again, I can't do that and be able to field Luke Jackson in my forward, my ruck line, just due to flexibility at this stage. So we'll see how it sort of plays out. Hopefully we get some more news on what sort of rookies are coming through in terms of basement. Hopefully I can nail that one again. But yeah, overall that was how my week went. I've already gone for my half an hour, so I'll end the video there. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Feel free to leave any questions you have down below for any trades you're looking at this week. Obviously, some huge target options that we'll look at, like a Mills and Anderson, a Josh Dacos coming off the bye, Nick Dacos if you don't have him. Sarong obviously had a massive game. We'll touch on him. I'll dive a little bit deeper into it. Jackson, McKercher, even Bergman if you're still looking at that. So yeah, stay tuned for that video. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed, and I will see you guys Wednesday. Cheers, guys. Bye.